Florida Congressman Byron Donalds and Fox Nation host Tomi Lahren both join me now. All right, guys, you know, the testimony or the questioning by Senator Rand Paul was compelling. The American people do not need the government to tell them what the truth is. But for some reason, our government thinks that this Nina Jankowicz is a perfect person, according to Mayorkas, who would be her boss, to tell us what the truth is. What say you, Congressman Donalds?
We don't need Nina Jankowicz. We don't need Mayorkas. He, frankly, can't tell the truth about what's actually happening on the southern border. So how could we rely on him and his department to tell the American people the truth about anything? Yeah. This is an absolute joke. But the real issue here is that Democrats have failed across the board, Judge, and they have to put out narratives and talking points, and they are the ones that actually have to use the emotions of the American people to try to win elections, because they can't do it with facts. They can't do it with debates. They think Nina Jankowicz is going to pull them out of the fire, but they have failed broadly, and everybody knows the truth now.
You know, that is a good point. I mean, Tommy, they are picking on emotions, and that's what this whole thing is about abortion. But I want to stick with Mayorkas for a minute. I mean, that guy, to me, hasn't told the truth since he showed up. I mean, the border's secure, and, you know, in a few days when Title 42 drops, and, you know, they plan on not listening to the federal judge, apparently, they're really ready to handle 18,000 illegals a day.
Listen, Mayorkas is way in over his head, and he should pull a Jen Psaki and maybe just go work at MSNBC or another liberal news outlet so he can actually peddle misinformation and disinformation. But I'll tell you this, not only do we not need the government to tell us what the truth is, if the last 2 years serve as evidence, everything that the government and the liberals in government had told us was a lie, was disinformation, or was a conspiracy theory, most of that has turned out to actually be true. So the reverse is actually the case when we look at what the government has been peddling us for the last 2 years, force-feeding down our throats with big tech on their side. Hopefully with Elon Musk, that is going to change. And that's probably why they need this woman to tell us what the truth is, because they are terrified that the wardens of big tech might not be refereeing for their side anymore.
You know, Congressman Donalds, Tommy makes a great point, and that is we have former President Barack Obama coming out a few weeks ago in a speech saying, you know, I'm a First Amendment speech absolutist, a free speech absolutist, but we gotta moderate the content. And then, you know, within a week or two, Musk is buying Twitter, and now all of a sudden we've got this disinformation czar. I mean, how far left can we possibly go to cut back on the First Amendment to the Constitution?
Listen, the political left knows no bounds. They will do whatever it takes to win elections, to implement their agenda. Nothing has changed. Even Barack Obama, when he was president, he lied about premiums. He lied about what was going to happen with Obamacare. I'm on Obamacare right now. I've never paid more for my health insurance. My deductibles have never been higher. He was not telling the truth, yet he spends the rest of his post-political career trying to lecture us. The political left, the Democrats in Congress, just want to implement their agenda. They do not care who they have to lie to. They do not care what agencies they need to create in order to get the job done.
And, Tommy, in line with that, in terms of what they need to do, the doxing of the Supreme Court justices, the conservative ones, who, you know, apparently, we don't know yet for sure, have signed on to the Alito decision overruling Roe versus Wade and Casey. I mean, it comes from the top, literally. They have no problem starting with Maxine Waters, get in their faces. How do the American people not see this?
Listen, the party that's supposed to be so loving and so tolerant is anything but. And it's also a term called gaslighting. And their new czar of truth does that very well when she says that conservatives and Republicans are the ones that are trying to weaponize feelings for profit. Weaponize feelings for profit? Like maybe the death of George Floyd to raise money for BLM, or every time there's a school shooting to raise money for their anti-gun groups, or now with this latest Supreme Court leak to raise money for Planned Parenthood and other entities that they support. It's called gaslighting. The Democrats do it very well, and unfortunately there are so many low information viewers and voters that buy right on into it, so it's up to us to get the messaging better on our side.
That is so true. All right, Congressman Byron Donalds, Tomi Lahren, thanks for joining us on Primetime.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.